What if I told you that the most powerful moment of your day is not when you accomplish something great, but the quiet minute right after you open your eyes? That sliver of time before the world rushes in holds a secret. Ancient Buddhist teachers knew this. They understood that how you begin your morning creates a ripple that touches everything that follows. Today, I want to offer you something precious, 3 simple, practical morning mantras built on 3 timeless pillars: intention, compassion, and wisdom. This is not complicated philosophy. This is a gentle tool you can use tomorrow, and every day after, to wake up with clarity, walk through your hours with peace, and lay your head down each night knowing you lived fully. Part 1, Introduction, the 3 Pillars of Purpose. Buddhist Morning Ritual, understanding the 3 pillars that create inner peace. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a beautiful teaching about the mind being like a garden. Every morning, when we wake, we have a choice. We can let any thought, any worry, any fear grow wild like weeds. Or we can carefully plant seeds of peace. The 3 pillars I am about to share with you are like 3 master gardeners who tend to your inner landscape. The first gardener is intention. In the ancient Pali language, this is called Cetana. It is the compass that points your day in a meaningful direction. Without intention, we drift. With intention, we sail. The second gardener is compassion. This is called Karuna. It is the soft rain that nourishes everything it touches. It soothes the harsh voices in your head. It helps you forgive yourself and others. It reminds you that you are human, and being human is enough. The third gardener is wisdom. This is called Panna. It is the clear sunlight that helps you see things as they truly are. Not as you fear them to be. Not as you wish them to be. But as they are. When these 3 gardeners work together each morning, something remarkable happens. Your day does not control you. You meet your day with presence. You respond to challenges with clarity. You treat yourself and others with kindness. And at the end of the day, you lay your head down with a sense of peace that no amount of money can buy. Now, let us explore each of these pillars one by one. I will share stories, metaphors, and simple practices you can begin tomorrow morning, or even right now. Part 2, the first pillar, intention, Cetana. Setting daily intentions, the Buddhist practice of Cetana for a purposeful life. Let me tell you about a man named Harold. Harold was 73 years old when he first heard about setting morning intentions. For most of his life, he had been a reactor. He woke up, checked the news, felt anxious about the world, and spent his days putting out small fires. His wife's requests. His doctor's appointments. His neighbor's complaints. By evening, Harold would sit in his recliner and wonder where the day had gone. He felt like a leaf blown by the wind, never choosing his own direction. Then one morning, Harold tried something different. Before getting out of bed, he placed his hand on his heart and asked himself one simple question. How do I want to show up today? Not what he needs to do. Not what was expected of him. But how did he want to be? The answer that came surprised him. I want to be patient today. I want to be kind to myself when things go wrong. That was it. Just one intention. Harold did not know it, but he had just discovered what the Buddha called Cetana. What is Cetana? In Buddhist psychology, Cetana is often translated as intention or volition. But it is more than just a wish or a goal. It is the energy that directs your mind. The Buddha taught that Cetana is like the rudder of a ship. The ocean is vast. The winds change constantly. But if you have a rudder, you can navigate. You can choose your direction even when storms arise. Without a rudder, you are at the mercy of every wave. Every morning, when you set an intention, you are taking hold of that rudder. You are saying to life, I may not control what happens today, but I choose how I want to meet it. The Stoic connection. Interestingly, this ancient Buddhist practice has a beautiful parallel in Stoic philosophy. The Stoic teacher Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who lived almost 2,000 years ago, began every morning with reflection. He would ask himself, what virtues do I want to embody today? How do I want to act, regardless of what happens around me? This is the same wisdom. East and West, separated by thousands of miles and hundreds of years, arrived at the same truth. The quality of your day depends on the quality of your morning intention. The metaphor of the compass. Think of your intention as an inner compass. Imagine you are going for a walk in a beautiful forest. If you have no compass, you might wander. You might walk in circles. You might get lost. But if you check your compass before setting out, you know which direction you are heading. Even if you take a wrong turn, you can always look at your compass and find your way back. Your morning intention works the same way. When someone says something that upsets you, you can pause and remember, my intention today is patience. When you make a mistake, you can remember, my intention today is self-kindness. The intention does not prevent difficulties, but it gives you a way to meet them. A simple morning practice, setting your intention. Here is a practice you can begin tomorrow morning. It takes less than 2 minutes. When you first wake up, before you reach for your phone, before you get out of bed, place one hand on your chest. Feel your heart beating. Feel the warmth of your own body. Take 3 slow breaths. Then ask yourself, gently, as if asking a dear friend, what quality do I want to carry with me today? Do not force an answer. Let it arise naturally. It might be patience. It might be gratitude. It might be courage. It might be gentleness. Whatever word comes to you, hold it in your mind for a moment. Then whisper it to yourself, either out loud or silently. Today, I choose patience. Today, I choose kindness. Today, I choose peace. That is it. That is the practice. Simple, yes. But do not underestimate its power. Harold, the man I told you about earlier, said that after 1 month of this practice, he felt like a different person. Not because his life had changed, but because he had changed the way he met his life. Part 3, the second pillar, compassion, Karuna. Self-compassion meditation, embracing Karuna for healing and forgiveness. Now, let us turn to the second pillar, compassion, or in Pali, Karuna. If intention is the rudder of your ship, compassion is the safe harbor you return to when storms have battered you. Let me share a truth that many of us, especially those of us in our later years, have come to know. We are often our own harshest critics. Think about it. If a friend came to you and said, I made a mistake today. I forgot an important appointment. I snapped at my spouse. I feel like such a failure. What would you say to that friend? Would you say, yes, you are a failure. You should be ashamed of yourself? Of course not. You would probably put your hand on their shoulder. You would say, it is okay. We all have hard days. Tomorrow is a new beginning. You would offer kindness. You would offer understanding. You would offer compassion. But when we speak to ourselves, we often forget this kindness. We become harsh. We become demanding. We replay our mistakes over and over, as if punishing ourselves will somehow make things better. The Buddha saw this pattern in human beings, and he offered a remedy. Karuna. Compassion. What is Karuna? Karuna is often described as the trembling of the heart in response to suffering. It is not pity. Pity looks down on others. Compassion meets others and ourselves at the same level. It says, I see your pain. I recognize your struggle. And I wish for your suffering to ease. The Buddha taught that compassion must begin at home. It must begin with yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot offer kindness to the world if you are treating yourself with cruelty. The inner critic and the wise elder. Here is a metaphor that might help. Imagine two voices are living inside you. The first voice is the inner critic. This voice is loud. It remembers every mistake you have ever made. It tells you that you should have done better. It compares you to others and always finds you lacking. The second voice is the wise elder. This voice is quieter. It speaks with gentleness. It says, you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. It says, you are human. Humans make mistakes. That is how we learn. It says, I am proud of you for trying. Most of us have let the inner critic run the show for too long. The practice of Karuna is learning to turn up the volume on the wise elder. It is learning to speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love. The Stoic perspective, shared humanity. The Stoic philosophers also understood this. They spoke of cosmopolitanism, the idea that all human beings are connected. We all share the same struggles. We all face illness. We all experience loss. We all make mistakes. When you remember this, it becomes easier to forgive yourself. You are not uniquely flawed. You are simply human. And so is everyone else. This realization softens the heart. It allows you to look at others with more understanding. When someone is rude to you, instead of reacting with anger, you might pause and think, they are struggling too. They are doing the best they can. This is compassion in action. A gentle practice, the hand on heart. Here is a compassion practice you can do anytime you notice the inner critic becoming loud. It is called the hand on heart practice. When you catch yourself being harsh with yourself, pause. Place your hand over your heart, just as you did with the intention practice. Feel the warmth of your palm. Take a slow breath. And say to yourself, either silently or aloud, this is a moment of difficulty. Difficulty is a part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion I need. These are not magic words, but they are a signal to your nervous system. They tell your body, you are safe. You are cared for. You can relax. Over time, this practice rewires the brain. The pathways of self-criticism become weaker. The pathways of self-compassion become stronger. And you begin to treat yourself the way you deserve to be treated. With kindness. With patience. With love. Before we continue to the third pillar, I want to take a moment to thank you for being here. If this message is resonating with you, if you feel a little lighter, a little more hopeful, I invite you to join our community. Please subscribe to Buddha Coha and tap the bell so you never miss a new video. Every week, we explore teachings like this one. Teachings that help you find peace in a busy world. Teachings that remind you of who you truly are. You are not alone on this journey. We walk together. Now, Let us continue to the third pillar. Part 4. The third pillar, wisdom, Panna. Buddhist wisdom teachings, cultivating Panna for clarity and acceptance. The third pillar is perhaps the most profound. Wisdom, or in Pali, Panna. If intention is the rudder, and compassion is the safe harbor, then wisdom is the ability to read the sky. To know when a storm is coming. To know when it is safe to sail. To see reality clearly, without the fog of fear or the distortion of wishful thinking. What is Panna? The Buddha described wisdom not as knowledge accumulated from books, but as a direct seeing of how things truly are. It is the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is an illusion. Between what you can control and what you cannot. Between what brings lasting peace and what brings only temporary pleasure followed by suffering. One of the central insights of Buddhist wisdom is this: much of our suffering comes not from life itself, but from our resistance to life. We suffer because we want things to be different from what they are. We want the past to be different. We want other people to be different. We want ourselves to be different. And this wanting, this constant pushing against reality, creates a tension that exhausts us. Wisdom is the release of that tension. It is the moment when you finally say, "This is what it is. Let me work with it, not against it." The serenity of acceptance. There is a famous prayer that many of you may know. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is Panna in action. The Stoic philosophers called this understanding the dichotomy of control. There are things within your power, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. And there are things outside your power, other people's behavior, the weather, the past, the future. When you spend your energy trying to control what you cannot control, you exhaust yourself. When you focus your energy on what you can control, you find freedom. This is the essence of wisdom. The metaphor of the clear lake. Imagine a beautiful mountain lake. When the surface is disturbed by wind and waves, you cannot see the bottom. Everything is murky, confused. But when the wind settles, when the water becomes still, the lake becomes like a perfect mirror. You can see the stones at the bottom. You can see the fish swimming. You can see the reflection of the sky above. Your mind is like this lake. When it is disturbed by worry, by anger, by fear, you cannot see clearly. But when you cultivate stillness, even for a few moments each morning, the mud settles. Clarity emerges. And from that clarity, wise action becomes possible. A wisdom practice, the morning reflection. Here is a simple practice to cultivate wisdom each morning. After you have set your intention and offered yourself compassion, take a few more moments in stillness. Ask yourself these 3 questions. First, what is within my control today? Perhaps it is your attitude, your effort, the words you choose to speak. Second, what is outside my control today? Perhaps it is how others behave, the traffic, the news, the outcome of events you have set in motion. Third, how can I focus my energy on what I can control and release what I cannot? You do not need to answer these questions perfectly. Simply asking them begins to shift your perspective. You start to see more clearly. You stop wasting precious energy fighting battles you cannot win. And you direct that energy toward what truly matters. Wisdom is not coldness. Some people worry that acceptance means giving up. That wisdom means not caring. This is a misunderstanding. The Buddha was one of the most compassionate beings to ever walk this earth. He cared deeply about suffering. But he did not exhaust himself fighting against reality. Instead, he worked skillfully within it. He taught people how to find peace right here, right now, regardless of their circumstances. Wisdom and compassion work together. Compassion gives you the heart to care. Wisdom gives you the clarity to act effectively. Together, they make you not just a good person, but a peaceful one. Part 5. Bringing the three pillars together. Complete Buddhist morning routine, integrating intention, compassion, and wisdom. Now you have met the three gardeners of your inner landscape. Intention sets your direction. Compassion softens your heart. Wisdom clears your vision. But how do you bring them together in a practical morning ritual? Let me give you a simple framework. I call it the 5-minute morning sanctuary. You can do this before you even get out of bed. Or you can do it sitting in your favorite chair with your morning tea. Step 1. Ground yourself. 30 seconds. Place your hand on your heart. Feel your body. Feel the bed or chair beneath you. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Arrive fully in this moment. Step 2. Set your intention. 1 minute. Ask yourself, what quality do I want to embody today? Let the answer arise naturally. State your intention, either silently or aloud. Today, I choose. Step 3. Offer yourself compassion. 1 minute. Say to yourself, may I be kind to myself today. May I accept my imperfections. May I treat myself as I would treat a dear friend. Feel the warmth of these words. Let them soak into your heart. Step 4. Invoke wisdom. 1 minute. Ask yourself, what is within my control today? What is outside my control? How can I focus on what matters and release the rest? Let these questions settle. You do not need perfect answers. Step 5. Set forth. 30 seconds. Take one final breath. Imagine yourself stepping into your day carrying these three gifts: intention, compassion, and wisdom. Smile softly. And begin. That is it. 5 minutes. Not an hour of meditation. Not complicated rituals. Just 5 minutes of conscious beginning. And those 5 minutes can change everything. Part 6. Stories of Transformation. Real-life Buddhist Wisdom. How Morning Practices Change Lives. I want to share a few more brief stories of people who have embraced these pillars. Margaret, age 68. Margaret struggled with anxiety for years. Every morning, she woke with a tight chest, already worrying about everything that could go wrong. When she learned about the wisdom pillar, something shifted. She began asking herself each morning, what can I control today? And she realized that most of her worries were about things completely outside her control. The simple act of acknowledging this, morning after morning, loosened the grip of anxiety. She said, I still have worries. But they do not own me anymore. I can set them down now. Robert, age 75. Robert was a retired executive, used to being in charge. When his health began to decline, he felt like a failure. He berated himself constantly for not being as strong as he used to be. The compassion pillar transformed him. He began placing his hand on his heart each morning and saying, you are doing your best. That is enough. At first, he felt foolish. But after a few weeks, he noticed the harsh inner voice growing quieter. He began to accept his limitations with grace. And paradoxically, that acceptance gave him more energy, not less. Dorothy, age 81. Dorothy had lost her husband of 55 years. Mornings were the hardest. She would wake up and reach for him, only to find space. She began the practice of setting an intention each morning, not to forget her grief, but to honor her husband by living fully. Her intention was often simple: today, I will find one moment of beauty. And every day, she did. A bird at the window, a kind word from a neighbor, the taste of her morning coffee. These small moments became threads of light woven through her days. Grief was still there, but so was life. Part 7, Closing, the gift of this moment. Finding peace every morning, a Buddhist blessing for your day. My dear friend, we have traveled far together in these moments. We have explored the 3 pillars that can transform your mornings and, in doing so, transform your days. Intention reminds you that you are not a leaf blown by the wind. You have a rudder. You can choose your direction. Compassion reminds you that you deserve kindness. Not just from others, but from yourself. You are human. And being human is beautiful, even in its imperfection. Wisdom reminds you that clarity is possible. You can see what is real. You can focus on what matters. You can release what you cannot control. Together, these 3 pillars create a foundation of peace that no circumstance can shake. I want to leave you with a blessing. An ancient Buddhist blessing, adapted for your modern life. You can say this to yourself each morning, after your 5-minute sanctuary practice. Or you can simply let these words wash over you now. May I begin this day with purpose. May I walk through this day with kindness. May I see this day with clarity. May I meet whatever arises with grace. May I remember that this moment is enough. May I know that I am enough. May peace be my companion. May love be my guide. May wisdom light my way. If these words have touched your heart, if you want more moments like this, more teachings that bring peace and purpose to your days, please subscribe to Buddha Coha. Click the subscribe button below and tap the notification bell. Each week, we share new videos designed to help you live with more peace, more presence, and more joy. Share this video with someone who might need it. A friend who is struggling. A family member who is searching for peace. A fellow traveler on this path. We are all in this together. And the more we support each other, the brighter the world becomes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your open heart. Thank you for your willingness to grow, even now, even at this stage of life. The Buddha said, each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. So tomorrow morning, when you wake, remember these 3 pillars. Intention, compassion, wisdom. They are waiting for you. They have always been waiting for you. And they will help you unlock a morning power you may have forgotten you possess. Until we meet again, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be at peace. This is Buddha Coha. Thank you for walking this path with us. Namaste.